Good evening. Thank you all for coming. My name is Patricka. I am the school board member that represents this part of the county, so Estero, Bonita Springs, South Fort Myers, and Fort Myers Beach. And I'm not going to talk to you as a school board member tonight. Instead, I'm going to talk to you as a parent, because I have 4 kids in our schools, and I know that the education system can feel overwhelming sometimes, but I also know that our teachers and our staff, both at the district and in each of the schools, is super focused on what makes your children unique. And really what tonight is about is sort of giving you a sampling of the menu of programs that we have available to help each one of your children reach their full potential. The staff that's in the room is incredibly passionate about helping your children and making sure that your children truly do reach their full potential. So I'm excited to be here. I'm sure I'm going to learn something new, and I hope you all learn something new as well. So I'm going to turn it over to the principal, I'm sure the proud principal of Bonita Springs Middle, where my son is an 8th grader, Melissa Lehner.
Thank you, Ms. Patricka. Thank you, and yeah, thank you for coming. It's all the cookies you can eat tonight, so please help yourself, and water that you can drink. This is my 4th year at Bonita Middle School, and I have come to love this community. We have a very unique community here with students who are passionate about the community. They stay in the community. They have friends in the community. Their families are known to us. We just kind of know each other and take care of each other. Being the 24th year in the district myself, I have seen amazing changes, and I'm so excited for our students in the direction that our district is headed. And I can't wait to hear what we have to say tonight. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Adkins or Dr. Chapman.
Okay, first I'm going to introduce Dr. Chapman. Dr. Chapman is a long-serving member of the NAACP, and specifically she is the person in charge of the NAACP's educational committee. So I'm going to welcome her up to say a few words.
Good evening. First of all, I've just got to be honest. I believe in confession, and I am very disappointed in the crowd. That's first. And secondly, this mission statement, that really says it all. Expanding minds, strengthening bodies, nurturing souls for lifelong success. And that's what we're about. So I was very glad to see that. I'd like to thank those that are here. And I don't know what we can do to encourage others to be a little bit more concerned about their own children. We want to do what we can to impact and make a difference, but we need parental support. I'm happy to be here, and as I said, I'm disappointed, but thank you so much. I'm just excited about, like I said, the mission statement, and we're going to get better. You know, when you start where we're starting, it can only go up from here. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I also want to say thank you to everyone who is out here supporting this event tonight. We are going to go ahead and present some of the information because I think it's important. What I want to talk about just briefly is the importance of the agreement that we have with the NAACP. And the reason why that agreement is so important is because it's really focused on our kids and doing what's right by our children. So for me, it was a pretty easy thing to enter into because what the NAACP wanted in terms of changes in our school district were very much in alignment with what we wanted to see. We definitely have some disparities in terms of our data. If you look at the differences among our different demographic groups in the school district, I am proud to say that we have certainly made progress, particularly if you look at the graduation rate. If you look at some of our discipline data, we're trending in the right direction in many cases, with some exceptions due to the vaping situation that we see around the country, and I'm happy to see, we've got signs up in this school that is warning our students about that really scourge on our nation. But other than that, our data is going in the right direction, but we still have a lot of work to do, and it's work that we're committed to, but like I think Dr. Chapman was saying, is something that we need our parents to become more engaged. We need our community to become more engaged. So, you know, one of my I've got a big 5 goals that we're really focused on this year, and I won't go through all 5 of them, but I will go through one of them, which is the community engagement thing. And so the community engagement piece of our goal this year is we want to work with our community organizations such as Nations Association, STARS Complex, the City of Fort Myers, YMCA, Quality of Life, other organizations like that, along with our partners in the NAACP, and improve and increase the number of before school, after school, summer school opportunities for our kids, because we see achievement gaps, and I think that education has to continue beyond the 6 hours and 15 or 6 hours and 30 minutes that we have them in the school, but it needs to go well beyond that and into the summer as well. Mr. Edie in the back and Crystal Torres, the dynamic duo, as I call them. In fact, Crystal was wearing a Superman cape last week, very apropos for the work that she does for the school district. But they are a part of the Support Our Students program, and that's just one great example of what we would like to do for our kids, but we certainly need community partnerships to make those things a reality, because here they are serving, you know, a little over 100 students is the goal for this year. Great summer program, you know, where they get kids engaged, teaching them soft skills, the business skills, finances, and then pairing them up with business leaders and internships and jobs, employment during the course of the summer, which I think teaches them skills they need for the future, while also connecting them with people that can help them make some important connections to maybe their future goals in the workforce. So we need more of that, because while that may be a little over 100 students, there's 6,000 or 7,000 students that are leaving our school, you know, every single year and entering either college or a career and need to be prepared. So we need help in doing that. So that is something that we feel passionate about. That's something I think the NAACP feels passionate about. But we need to engage more people in our community if we're able to make that a reality. I do want to pitch one other thing since we're all here. I said one of my big 5. Another one is pre-K. I won't go through all of them, but I got to say pre-K. That's kindergarten readiness. We have one of the lowest kindergarten readiness in the state. There's only 6 other districts in the whole state, or other counties in the state that have a lower kindergarten readiness. And this is again about engaging our community, our parents, our guardians, and those caregivers to make sure that our kids are ready for kindergarten. And our goal is to work with our community to make sure that every single kid has access to a quality pre-K program. In fact, by 2030, our goal is that at least 2/3 of the students in all of Lee County are able to have access to a quality pre-K program, so they have the ability to be ready for kindergarten. So, but that's one that's you know, we're a K-12 organization predominantly, so we're going to need help from the community for that. So those are a couple of big ones that we really want to go and work on and make substantial progress by the end of this school year on those 2 goals, and then 3 others. Having said that, again, thank you all for being here tonight. We do have some great information that we'd like to share, and I think I'm going to introduce Chuck Bradley. And Chuck Bradley is one of the, really one of the point people, one of the people on the front line when it comes to working with our students as it relates to changing their behavior in a more positive manner, focusing them not on the negative stuff, but more on the positive stuff, so that they can get the education that they really need. So Chuck, you want to come on up here and go ahead and get started. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Adkins. Thank you, Jared. Well, good evening, everyone. It's good to see you this evening, and it's good to be here at Bonita Middle School. Just a beautiful school. I was looking around the building, And I just noticed the beautiful brick. It just reminds me so much of the school that I attended when I was about this age. So I wanted to talk a little bit tonight about positive prevention. And what does that mean? And I'm always asked when people see my title, well, what do you do? What does that mean? And so very simply, we are here to support primarily around Goal 12 of Envision 2030. And it focuses very heavily on increasing the percentage of students who perceive that there is an adult in their school who cares about them. And then also Goal 18, increasing the physical safety of the district students and staff. And we are in the student services arena and work together to make sure that our students are supported in addition to academics. And most of us are all teachers or former teachers in this arena, but we have come to learn that our students need more than just academics in the classroom. So some of you may remember this pyramid from your education or psychology courses. This is Maslow's hierarchy of need. We all have these needs, and our students come to us with needs every day. They come to us with physiological needs. Some need food, some need water, some need rest, some need safety and security. And we have Mr. Parfit here today who is responsible to make sure that our students are safe in school. They also have needs for belonging, intimacy needs, friendship needs, relationship needs. And then they also have esteem needs, the need to be a person of purpose and feeling accomplished. And then you'll notice that at the top, they have these self-actualization needs, and this is the need to realize who they are themselves and where they're going to meet their full potential. Well, I like to tell teachers that where is learning? Where's academics? And if you think about it, it's primarily up in that self-actualization area. This is where we learn about what we want to do. But how do we get there? We have to go through all of these other layers to get there. So I like to turn this on its side and think about it in terms of their doorways that we have to get through. We first have to make sure that our students coming to our schools, their physical needs are met, that they're fed, that they're rested, that they feel safe at school. And so we have departments that are here to help meet those needs. Our arena focuses primarily on some doorways down the way that focus on their belonging and their social emotional needs. So that's what positive prevention is about. And especially in terms of behavior, as we start to think about our students, behavior is a communication. It's a language. It's a way of communicating with others. And so how do we then create an environment in which our students can express themselves in a positive way? So many of us can remember our school years and how behavior was dealt with in school. And basically, if you were bad, you got sent to the office, and you got punished. And so our teachers may have had rules in the classroom, but primarily they were put up there, and if you violated them, you were then called out for it. Well, let's flip that on its head, because we don't do that necessarily in academics. In academics, we recognize students who excel. We recognize students who get A's. We recognize students who have a 4.0 GPA. We recognize students who rise to the level of summa cum laude, right? Well, that's basically our approach then with behavior in our arena, to recognize the behaviors that we want to see. And so we look at it in a 4-point model to make sure, first of all, that there's engaging instruction in a well-managed classroom. And that's a key. So teachers using classroom management to make sure that their classroom runs like a well-oiled machine. Kids know what to do in that classroom and how to access what they need. Then the positive behavior and attendance support to make sure that we're recognizing, we're expressing our expectations for positive behavior, and then recognizing when we see it, and that includes attendance. And so we have a very high focus on attendance, because if they're not in school, they can't learn. So we need them there. We do need a discipline system for problem behavior, but it needs to involve interventions. So when we do see misbehavior, what are we doing to help the student learn what the correct behavior is, and then give them the support that they need to begin to exhibit that correct behavior? And then the social and emotional learning and supportive school culture. So I was very impressed because as I walked through Bonita Middle tonight, I saw signs up, I saw evidence that they take care of their kids and their social emotional support in the environment, and I have no doubt that if I walk through these halls during the day, I will hear it from teachers. So I talked to our participants tonight, and one of the things they said was that they love this school. Well, when they use words like that, that tells me that this school has made a connection on the emotional level with those parents, and they do it with their kids as well, I'm sure. So, our district has adopted social emotional learning standards, and we worked on these last couple of years ago to get these in place. These come from Castle, and they help to form the core of our social emotional approach for our district, to help our kids learn skills in becoming self-aware. Self-management, responsible decision-making, relationship skills, and social awareness. All of those key areas that for many of us, we learn from our grandparents and our parents and our Sunday school or Saturday school class, our neighborhood friends, maybe over at a neighbor's house, maybe with extended family. We learn many of those skills in those situations. Many of our kids don't get the opportunity to learn those skills in their home situations, and they don't have quite the social network that many of us had growing up in a community. So we want to make sure that they have those opportunities. And this includes things like curriculum that we use for social emotional learning, like Second Step, Leader in Me, and so forth. We also use practices, and I'm going to talk a minute about PBIS and some of the other practices we use. And then also how we extend this to our families. So I'm sure that Ms. Lehner has family nights. She invites her families in. Perhaps you have reading nights, and definitely student conferences. So making sure that our families are connected to our school as well. So we, as a district, have come up with some positive expectations that we want for our students. And this came with a lot of input from our school community, from teachers, from principals, and from district leaders. And these are our five. We call them our 5 R's. We want our students to be ready, to be reliable, responsible, respectful, and role models. And these follow a very specific pattern because we first have to be ready. We have to be ready within ourselves. And then we have to demonstrate reliability over time so that we can become trustworthy. Responsible starts to extend that trust out into the environment. So being responsible with things in the classroom, property, or responsible with assignments, responsible with friends, whatever it may be. Respectful. Respectful is a key one, and Dr. Adkins mentioned the NAACP agreement this evening. So learning to be respectful of different people, different cultures, different creeds, all of those differences that make our society so wonderful. How do we build that respect? And then finally, to serve as role models for others, to demonstrate these expectations so that others can see it within us. So these 5 R's form the core of our approach as we develop positive expectations. So let me talk a little bit about PBIS. One of the programs that we do run in our district is PBIS, Positive Behavior Intervention Support. And I want to thank Ms. Tammy Scott, because Tammy is my partner in helping to make sure that PBIS is administered in our district. PBIS is an approach that helps to support positive behavior. And Bonita Middle has some of these, has these elements because they are a participant. So, what are the pillars of PBIS? First, to establish expectations. So you saw the district expectations in the previous slide. Our schools then translate those expectations locally. And so here at Bonita Middle, they are Bonita Pro. And tell me, Ms. Lehner, what does Pro stand for?
Prepared, respectful, and on time.
Prepared, respectful, and on time, which blend beautifully with our district level expectations. And so as we were walking in, I saw those signs around, and I'm sure you do recognitions of those expectations. And that's the idea. So to establish them, explicitly teach them what do they mean, to reinforce them through recognition, and in some of our schools they may use a system of rewards, and then correct behavioral errors when we see them. So was that being prepared or not? And then helping that student to understand what it means. So with that, I want to bring in Ms. Scott because because you cannot take PBIS without also talking about MTSS. MTSS, multi-tiered system of supports. And so when we do have those behavioral errors, and they may be academic or they may be behavioral, then we need a system of supports to actually put that in place. Do you want to come up and talk about it? No. You sure? All right, I think you'd be great. So, the idea here in MTSS is that we simply help to support that child. And what do we need? I, in my work, focus primarily on what we call Tier 1, universal supports. These are supports for all kids. PBIS is that level of support. Tammy, coming up on cue, thank you, works primarily on level 2 and level 3 supports, and these are specialized supports for just those students that need that level. So Ms. Scott?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bradley. Yes, so we work with schools in regards to students who are struggling academically or behaviorally, because all students can benefit from supports if they are in need. So MTSS does not exclude anyone, even if you have an IEP, if you're a student with a disability. So you are provided interventions, and the purpose of that is to constantly reflect back to what is happening and what's being provided to see if that's making any progress for the student. So it's like a prescription. We're constantly finding what works. And if it doesn't work, then we don't do that and we try something different. So the logic of multi-tiered approach, basically, we have a very diverse population and we're constantly problem solving to match the needs of each individual student because our overall goal is for success and graduation. In our schools, we currently have 63 that are active in PBIS, and basically they have problem-solving teams that are consistently working towards monitoring their data and finding different ways to meet their students' needs. Lots of schools have a token economy. That's not a requirement, but we are working on that intrinsic part of how a student feels when they are accomplishing something great. Supports for all students, I've already mentioned. A lot of schools have mentoring programs, which are extremely powerful. Mentoring programs with staff within the school, but also with our community being involved with mentoring. Social emotional learning curriculum that Mr. Bradley talked about, and various clubs. That's just a very small piece of some of the things that our schools do. And at the end of the day, it is all about the whole child and trying to figure out what those key pieces are to ensure that they are successful. So we have our ABC poster, because it's all about attendance, behavior, and classroom success. All right. Yes, ma'am.
What does MTSS stand for?
It stands for a multi-tiered system of supports. Yes. Okay.
Thank you, Tammy. So, in conclusion, our focus is on more than just academics, and it's about the whole child. We are whole people. We have an intellectual capacity, but we also have needs social emotionally. We have needs mentally, spiritually. And when I say spiritually, I mean where we draw our source of meaning in life. And to meet those needs, we need a whole child approach to our education. So our world focuses on complementing the academics that happen in our school to help support our children, help support their behavior, and help them to be successful in life. So, any questions? All right, well then, thank you very much.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to do our structure a little bit differently. I don't know if I need, oh, there we go. You actually put my name up there this time, thank you. We're going to do our structure a little bit differently. Normally we would rotate through the groups to the different areas, and the parents would have an opportunity to have discussions. But because we're such a smaller group, I'm going to ask each individual from the departments to come up and kind of share out with the parents, and then you'll have the opportunity to ask any questions that you may have, okay, from the departments. So I know we have Tammy Scott from MTSS. She just presented on some information for MTSS. Mr. Chuck Bradley for Positive Prevention. Miss Rita Davis, and she's in career education. Teresa Bowen, who is ESE. She's our assistant director. Jessica Duncan, who is our director. We have, I'm kind of jumping around because ESE is over here. Deidre Phillips from Fiddlers. Shelly Taylor from Graduation. Miss Ralph, who is Student Enrollment. I am so sorry. Carlos Negron from Esau. Mr. Parfit, correct, Rick, from Safety and Security. So for our parents that are here tonight, we're gonna kind of open the floor to questions for you. So if you want, you can ask any questions from any of the individuals from the departments.
Well, I would like to, I don't need that.
Okay.
I would like to say that I enjoy kids' participation very much. And I think that the schools here in Benito were maybe even doing that before you put that into place. Because as a parent, I can attest that Spring Creek Elementary, Benito Middle, which I can't say enough great things about either school. My kids felt welcome, they felt loved, I felt that they were safe, and there was strong lines of communication with the teachers, the children, the administration, as well as myself. So there's, Ms. Lehner does such a great job here, so I'd like to say that. And also that has now continued to Benito High School, where I feel the same sense of community from that school that I felt in this school as well. A little disappointed with the turnout. But I think that Benito does have, it may be a little different than the rest of the district because it still has that small town feel. And it still has that neighbor helping neighbor, and because of that, I think that the schools are super special down here. And I just hope that everyone knows that when they're going to student assignment, that Benito does have phenomenal schools. And even though school choice, I feel personally, may not be the best for a district this large, transportation-wise, but it does give the opportunity to children that may live in a more city environment to come down to Benito and have that small village feel. And I think that's important, that every child has a chance to feel welcome. I can't attest to other schools because my children can go there. But I can say that the schools here in Benito really do go above and beyond for the kids. So, just want to give her props for it too, because she came in and it wasn't as great as it is right now. So, I have to say that she really did change things around, and it's everyone. My son has special needs, and dropping him off was always a chore. As soon as I got to know her, I felt very comfortable, safe having him in here. So,
You're a great parent, that's why.
Oh, great. I know that I'm really not, but yeah. So, most of my, what I wanted to talk about was not really questions, but maybe more like suggestions. And I have a few suggestions just because I am a parent of 4. My oldest is 28, my youngest is 15. So I've been around the block. Well, when it comes to, I've been around the block when it comes to, schooling. And I kind of feel like some things, and I know change is slow, and it's not just let's stay in and let's do it. But I think that some things can change in the schools. First and foremost, because I wanted to talk to you privately, but I'm sorry. First and foremost, I feel that there should be bullet points on the IEP. On the first page of the IEP, bullet points for everything that is super duper important. I understand, especially when you get to a middle school and a high school level, You do not have one class. It is unfair to the teacher, and it's unfair to the administrator. It's just unfair all around to think that everyone's going to memorize every single IEP in the school. And there are a lot more IEPs now than there were 15 years ago. So I think it's unfair to the teachers and to the administration. That's why I think that maybe bullet points should be on the front page. That way, the teacher has those bullet points. And say, okay, here, you know what I mean? They don't have to go 10 pages deep into an IEP to figure out this is why behavior, you know what I mean? Like it's happening or something. So I think bullet points on that IEP, I think would be a great way to help the faculty. Because really, if you see 150 kids in your classes, how are you supposed to, and I'm going to say 70 probably have IEPs. That I think is unfair. It's unfair to the teacher, then now the parent comes up and she knows I'm this parent. Why doesn't the teacher know about my child? You know what I mean? Like, and then it becomes an issue because now you're putting the teacher in a position where she doesn't, it's unfair to her because of all of the kids with IEPs. So maybe something like that can make a change. Also, Bonita High School needs a life skill program. I'm just putting that out there. My child's not in life skills, but Sarah's a little crowded. And kids in life skills really shouldn't have to travel so far to get what they need. So it should be a community involvement kind of thing. And I know that the students at Bonita High School would be more than happy to be like the big brother, big sister program with them. They did it here. I mean, the kids that were here, the kids in the high school, well, where did they go? Well, they all had to go to Estero because Bonita doesn't have a life skills class. But, Ms. Layden, very inclusive in everything. And all the kids knew each other. So, and that, they do inquire, like, well, where is, this child? Where is that child? They had to go to Estero because Bonita is not in the program yet. So that's something that I think we should work on. And especially because the life skills classes are getting crowded everywhere. Now I forgot what else. Well, those are important things, I think. They are important things. Thanks.
She is worth 15 parents. I would just like to put that.
You know what? I'm super disappointed because I do hear a lot of complaints. As a parent, I hear a lot of complaints. And when I was on DAC, the parents would come and say things to me. And, in my mind, I'm like, all right, then we show up at the meetings at the school and it's the same 5, you know what I mean? The same 5 people. So I just think it's ridiculous for the parent, like if you don't show up, then how can you complain about how things are done? And it's not just showing up at meetings. I know people are busy. I own my own business. I'm super busy. You know what I mean? Like I left there and came right here. So, I know what it's like to be a busy parent. And I think a lot of it is a large portion of Bonita. The parents are non-English speaking. But that shouldn't be an issue for them. They should still show up. There's always a translator. There's always someone to speak to them. And I know everyone knew about it because it was on Facebook. And, it really, it was a lot of advertising for it. So I'm sad that it was a small turnout for you guys because, if you go to DAC, you know all these things. So I do know all of this because 3 years in DAC. But, the other parents don't, and I feel bad. Now you're going to get phone calls and you can say, well, where were you at the meeting? Sorry, you didn't show up.
in the back, you can see us.
You don't have a voice.
It's not going to be my opinion.
Mr. Romero, do you have any questions? He's a parent.
Well, not even a question, because I would like to explain to you a little bit about the community in Bonita Springs, if you let me.
I'd love to hear it.
I'm standing here.
Would you like the mic, Mr. Romero?
No, I think.
Hey, Crystal, because we can't get good audio on
Okay, we're
recording.
going to give you the mic, Mr. Romero.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for all of you to be here tonight. It's very important, and I'm very glad to meet you and hear you. And my name is Juan Romero. Let me introduce myself. Being a resident of Bonita Springs for 32 years, working here in the school as a security specialist. But today I'm not working. I'm as a parent. My family grew here. It's a beautiful place. Bonita is so nice to live here. and we decided to raise our family. We have 3 children, and then they are already in college. We got experience from kindergarten all the way up to college, and then we like to have more students going through that way. So, and then you're asking about how we can change all of this.
Make sure you talk about your daughter too.
Yeah. Talking about the knowing our community, and it's very important. Today, I was talking to many different parents about this meeting, and they was kind of scary to come, don't know what's going to be happening. We got to change a few things around so we can make this different. So I was talking with Crystal about the way to communicate with the parents. Unfortunately, here in Bonita Springs, the 25% of the community is Hispanic, and that little or big percentage of minority doesn't have access to the internet and the way to know what is going on. We organizing the soccer league here in Bonita Springs, and then the way we communicate with the community is person to person. Hey, you know, it's going to be a meeting, inviting you. It's going to be talking about your children, and you got to be there. And that's the way we do. We just have a meeting with a Mexican counselor here, and we almost, actually a person, we went up there and get the parents and bring in driving, because our parents, they don't have a driveways or driver license. I mean, facts in here in Bonita, and you may don't know, but families live in small square room, maybe 2, 3, 4 families, and a lot of people don't believe that, and it is true. So when the kids coming in, and then we see them, I personally see them when they come in, shaking hands and say, hey, what's going on? How you doing? How are you? And sometimes they said, well, you know, my dad is not here. I got deportation. A bunch of so big problems with these kids. So we got to know our community and understanding what happened here. 80% of our community here is Hispanic, and 20% other community, other groups. So I'm very concerned about those families who they are coming. In the information, you mentioned that in the last 5 years, we have so much new students, monolinguals coming in. So I'm very concerned about those kids who they are growing and they're going to be in our community and they are not speak English and they don't, some of them, they've never been in the school. I mean, I was so crying the other day when I see a kid coming in and we were so scared coming into the school. And then saying, you know, it's not going to be bad for you. It's going to be nice. It's going to be okay. Walking around with him. And he was so scared because never been in a building. He comes from a village in Guatemala. So those are the things we got to understand in knowing about our community, our kids here, and our parents. So just to give you a view of our community, our parents here in Bonita Springs. And I want to ask you if we can increase in the programs for involving the parents to teach them the ways, how that works, the system in the schools. Maybe we need to have someone from each school to help them to fill out the forms and send them, because they got to pay $20, $40, $50 for the ride to take them from Bonita to downtown and presenting those papers. Maybe try to see if we can make it here or fax it to you guys out there and get it a little bit accessible for the families. We just have a conversation with Cafe of Life. They are giving rides and they take him to the new clinic here in Coconut Point for making the physical exams. And Cafe of Life is paying for the exams for the kids to be able to come in school. So that's one of the things. We need to get more access to that system, more easier.
Are
Ms. Loretta, I'm student enrollment. So,
Can you take the mic?
yeah, sorry. I don't want to get him off though. Sorry.
You can get back.
So I appreciate everything that you're saying, and I think those are things that, as a district, that we have not done what we needed to do for, but for this next school year and the upcoming year, we are retrofitting a school bus. And it's going to be our student enrollment bus, and we're going to take it to our community so that we can fill out the paperwork for the parents. It's all going to be there for them. We want to take it out to different activities, like events that occur during the summer across our entire county, and that way we can be there, we can provide information. The student enrollment department used to be the student information centers. We've gotten away from the information center part because we were enrolling students constantly. But what we need to do is provide that information so that students and parents can make the correct, have the correct information to be able to enroll in the school that's going to meet their needs. And at the elementary level, we don't want students that live in Bonita Springs to get assigned a school that's going to be really out of their proximity, which that in itself is even more scary. So we hear you. I'm sorry that we haven't done it yet, but we're on the road to do it now.
And I'm going to be behind you. Make sure you do. So,
Mr. Romero, do you think that it would be beneficial if maybe we could arrange to have a meeting at the Cafe of Life?
yes, definitely.
Because I think more parents would show up. I think a lot of parents, I know my children's friends' parents, some of them are afraid to come to meetings. And I think that that's, I mean, Benita's largely Hispanic, and they're afraid to come to the meeting. But I think maybe if we had one at Cafe of Life where they feel comfortable, it's 5 minutes away, it's not, you know what I mean? Then maybe you'd have more of a parent engagement. And then it would make them comfortable and then feel that they could, because that's a problem. And it's a problem with ESE as well. The parents don't speak up because they're afraid to speak up.
Yeah, definitely. It's like Dr. Adkins is saying, ways to engage the community, engage the parents. And then I think that's one of the ways to meet them where the community feels comfortable. And also the way they get the information. Maybe we got to go back into the flyers and then phone calls and person to person say, hey, you got to come into this meeting. And then of course, if it's going to be mostly Hispanic people, probably has to be in Spanish too. So, and so another request is on summers. We're going to have all these kids. We have all the kids in the street not be able to do anything. I mean, even in the information, and you know that our community is a low-income community, and they cannot pay $40, $50 a week for a summer program. So we try to work with the school board, with the sheriff department, with other organizations to have summer programs available here in Bonita. Because a lot of the programs, they are in Fort Myers, and our families cannot go up there and get the summer programs. Same for the adult education. We have, somebody here is the director. Sorry for not knowing you.
Oh, that's okay.
We have the adult education in Bonita High School, and it's beautiful, and they got so many families coming now. But the summer moved the program to high school or Fort Myers. Same situation, you know, our families, our adults can't afford it to go up there and take a class. This year, this past summer, they were saying like probably we can have the program here, but no, it was not. So can we work out something so we can have the adult education program on the summer here in Bonita too? I'm sorry, you know, we are at the very edge of the county, and we always be like be up there, kind of. Want to say something?
Excuse me, we appreciate that very much and we take that into consideration. Right now we have over 2,200 adult students in our GED and ESOL programs, and they are primarily ESOL students. And we work to also help them gain employment in the community and also find human services and social services as well. We got hit by a 25% budget cut this past year, and so we had to reduce from 10 sites down to 8 sites. We employ 97 part-time employees and just about 20 full-time employees, but those part-time employees are paid for by that particular budget, and due to that cut, we had to compress some of our sites. And we thought at the time that it would be fine with Bonita High, you know, to keep it at that location, and then summertime it drops down so much to save financial resources as well. We try to keep it as close to the school district site, but we can definitely see what we can do, like how we can stretch the dollar. And I'll say every month, right now I'm looking at the budget for those part-time employees and their sites to even make decisions for the spring semester. So the need is there, but right now finances are a little bit tough, but we'll definitely take that into consideration.
And Ms. Romero, Dr. Megron to speak to you, or speak on some of the ESOL pieces. So these are his things.
Hey, good evening. I would like to agree 100% with you about family involvement. And how long ago, Melissa, do we have the ESOL Parent Institute here? Probably a month ago. And how many parents showed up? More than 80 families were here. But you know why? And they walked. You know why? Because like you said, we have to go out there to the communities and invite them. Because, you know, from the cultural standpoint, they know that, you know, school is a very threatening environment for them. So they don't question teachers. You know, they do exactly what the teachers, you know, tell them to do. But we have to start educating them that, you know, school is a welcoming, you know, environment for them. So things that worked for us was not only distributing flyers, because we knew that we had to do that. We did it in different languages, and we also sent out our 7 ESOL specialists to the different schools and promote the event for the parents. And I remember that I was sending the last email to all the schools in the South Zone, to the APs, and I said, would you please have at least one ESOL paraprofessional from your schools call at least 2 or 3 families and invite them to attend this event. And you know what? We had over 80 families participate in this event. Not only they got information about what the ESOL program is about, they got information about graduation requirements, how to use the parent portal in Focus. They got information about how to help their students, their children, more language, you know, language acquisition. What can they do at home to promote second language acquisition, in English in this case? So they got a lot of information. It lasted about 2 hours, but you're absolutely right. We need to know the community, and we need to know how to get to them, to make sure that they feel comfortable enough to come to school and information sessions like these. And also about the summer school, the ESOL department, we offer different summer camps every year. We have offered them in middle school this year. We did it for science. We had a lot of students signed from Bonita Middle to go to Bonita High. There's where we held, you know, the science camp. We started with very good attendance, maybe about 30-something students signed up for it, but for some reason they stopped coming. Probably because, you know, they have other commitments, they want to take a break, it's summer. But yes, we do offer the opportunities for them to participate in science programs, English language development programs, and also, what are the other ones, math camps. So we have the opportunities for them to attend that, but we also have to educate the parents and tell them that, you know, this is very important for your child. It's not only just to, you know, for them just to come here and, you know, just learn. That's right. Something else, we do a lot of things that are fun for them, like, taking them to field trips and learn more about the subjects that they're learning, but in a fun way. So we have to continue to promote that and to make sure that the parents understand that so that they can encourage their children to participate in the programs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't want to, but okay, now I got it. No, I just want to ask you one more program. Hopefully we can establish it. This is fact also. A lot of the parents here in Bonita Springs, they don't know how to read or write Spanish. Lots of adults. And we was thinking about how we can prevent or how we can correct that problem. And we was talking with the Mexican counselors, and they were saying, okay, let's put in a program where we can teach them, like elementary school, first grade, second grade, third grade. They providing the materials, and we need a space to do that. Maybe we can work together, maybe at the high school, same as at the same time as the adult education in English, ESOL, but in this case it's gonna be parents who they don't know anything, even in Spanish. And then maybe we can make them more comfortable in the schools and participating a little bit more, and learning a little more. So that's a request. If we can get space with the computers, and of course we got some teachers. Miss Reyes, she's retired, and we got another 2 teachers who they are happy to help, so we can make a program, and hopefully we can reduce that percentage of people who don't read or write even Spanish. And
I can definitely assist with that. In addition to GED and ESOL, we have a community education program called Lifelong Learning. It is a fee-based program, but we do have waivers that come in from community organizations. And what's so awesome about it is we as a district have the ability to create whatever course the community is interested in. It's truly community education. So we totally have the structure and the resources other than the payment for the actual teacher to accommodate this. So definitely get in touch with me. That's something we can add. We've had businesses come to us for conversational Spanish for their workers who primarily speak English, so we offer stuff like that. So this would just be another offering for us at one of our 8 sites.
so hopefully it's not going to be a problem, the economy, the money, hopefully. Because we can organize that with no money. We have the program, the books and volunteers. We just need a space, and then we can start right away. But if we can work with you too, it will be very, very helpful. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any other questions?
So we want to thank you for coming out. I know this thing is pretty loud. You don't even have to put it up to your mouth. We want to thank you for coming out this evening and taking the time out to come out and speak to the parents that we do have here. And parents, thank you for coming out and supporting your students and children. So at this time, if there are no further questions, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the forum. Thank you, everyone, and have a safe trip home.